Now on CoastTV News.
Price pinch. A closed tariff loophole means higher prices from China. What you need to know before you click buy. Truck trouble. Why Milton town leaders and community members say it's time to steer the big rigs elsewhere. And little bites. Could fishing for tiny fish become the next big thing in Maryland? Why the state is investigating a growing trend.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good Friday evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with more tariff talk. If you shop online at Amazon, Haul, Temu, or Shein, you might notice higher prices, and that's because a tariff exemption for Chinese imports ended this morning. It's probably been keeping the total on your online shopping cart down, even as the U.S.-China trade war heats up. Amy Kiley reports on today's change.
Even very, very cheap items are now being tariffed.
The era of Americans buying ultra-cheap products from China might be waning. As of this morning, a tariff loophole is closed for Chinese imports worth $800 or less. That's due to executive action from President Donald Trump last month.
It's a big scam going on against our country.
Here are the new tariffs for Chinese imports in the affected price range. An item sent via the postal system carries a 120% duty or a $100 fee. On June 1st, the flat cost option rises to $200. An item shipped another way likely faces Trump's 145% tariff hike.
Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know? And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
Chinese e-commerce giants Shein and Temu say they raised prices a week ago to prepare for the loophole's end. Temu's website uses the label local warehouse for items it says aren't subject to duties. Amazon says it considered showing how tariffs affect prices on its low-cost Amazon Haul site. After a clash with the White House, it's backing off that idea, but not backing off potential price hikes.
When you have a low-margin business, you don't have as much wiggle room to deal with tariffs, and you have to pass that on to consumers more.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
New tonight, a construction scare on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk this morning. Crews working on the One Rehoboth Avenue project were doing demolition when a piece of equipment broke through part of the storefront boardwalk. The section has already been patched up, as you can see on your screen. Officials say that part of the boardwalk is actually private property, so the city will not have to pay for any of the damage. And now we're taking a live look outside into Rehoboth Beach on the boardwalk. Our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on our First Alert weather. Paul, what's in store for Saturday and Sunday?
Well, Saturday's looking pretty clear, believe it or not. We were concerned about rain for the entire weekend. Saturday's looking very clear. Sunday is where it gets a little wonky. I know that's my meteorological word. That's right. 40 years of meteorology, and I come up with the word wonky, but it applies. It applies. Okay, so our Tidal Health camera in Salisbury, 68 degrees at this time. We're going to stay in the upper 60s throughout the rest of the night with increasing cloud cover. And so we're in the 70s now. So we've transitioned to where we pretty much should be for this time of the year. Temperatures are still well above the norm when you think about it, how it typically would be for a spring day. But all of this is indicating that the pink is indicating we have 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts along the shore on all sides of Delmarva Peninsula. Coming up, we'll talk about that wonkiness of Sunday's forecast, Christina.
All right, thank you, Paul. Now to Milton. Milton officials are looking to put a halt to truck traffic in town. Many neighbors say big rigs like these that you see on your screen, they often roll through, making loud noise and causing homes to shake. Town officials are now working with DelDOT to potentially update signs directing the trucks to an alternate route. There is an exception for trucks making downtown deliveries. Officials are also considering an ordinance to enforce those restrictions. One business owner tells us the signs are long overdue for a makeover.
They're not reading appropriately, and they don't actually say no trucks. There's this little tiny sign on a post in front of the antique shop on 16 that you can barely read until after you pass it, that says only local delivery. They need that bigger, and they need that before the traffic lights so they can turn and make the rerouting.
So the Milton Mayor and Town Council are scheduled to review a presentation from DelDOT on the sign changes and talk about the proposed ordinance at next Monday's council meeting. And staying in Milton, the town is also now asking the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for help in protecting from flood damage and erosion. The town's location between the Broadkill River and the Delaware Bay makes it especially vulnerable to flooding. The town now asking the Army Corps of Engineers for funds to conduct studies and consider projects to restore and conserve the area. At a Milton Town Council meeting on Monday, officials will debate a letter that they're considering sending to the Army Corps about all of this. If accepted, the federal government would fund the feasibility study completely, up to $200,000. Some locals we spoke with today say Milton needs the help.
Protecting is most important for the future generations. They're going to inherit, and we want to leave a healthy legacy for our children to be able to live healthy environments, chemical-free, and protect our waterways.
With an average elevation of just 60 feet above sea level, flooding, it's a concern across the whole state of Delaware. So Milton, just the latest town here in Sussex County looking to deal with the problem, but certainly not the last. As we just saw, protecting against flooding, it's a big topic on the coast. Now, Lewis, the city is proposing what's called a resiliency fund to be used to prevent and react to natural disasters. Lewis wants to take money from existing sources, things like property taxes and parking revenue, to specifically set money aside for fixing infrastructure and responding to storm damage. And all this brings us to our CoastTV poll tonight. We want to know what you think is most important to protect coastal towns from in flooding. Let's take a look at the updated results. 58%, this has been the most popular answer all day, say homes are the most important to protect. A few saying roads, shorelines, or businesses. You could still vote, though. You can still change up these numbers. Just head to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Well, some Salisbury neighbors say they're tired of asking the city to fix its roads. Schumacher Manor locals, they say their roads have been dangerous for some 30 years with potholes and poor drainage that leads to flooding. County engineers say this pavement was built back in the 90s and only has an inch of pavement when there should be 4 inches. Neighbors say the issue is beyond cosmetics.
These are bad roads, bad drainage, everything. It's just going to get worse.
A county engineer estimates without addressing the street gutters and curb fixing, the roads alone would cost over $1 million there in Salisbury. Well, some Eastern Shore thrill seekers reached new heights for charity today by going over the edge of the Ross. It's the tallest building in downtown Salisbury. The event was held by United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore to raise money for those in need. Each of these people had to raise roughly $1,000 to secure their spot. United Way's CEO says they raised more than $89,000.
This is about raising money for our local community to bring more resources and more access so that every single person in our community has opportunities to thrive.
The CEO also says they surpassed their original goal of $80,000. They're hoping to hit $90,000 today. The state of Maryland is investigating a newer wave of fishing. It's called microfishing. Maryland's Department of Natural Resources says it's a type of hook and line fishing. The angler targets small-bodied fish that are not traditionally considered game fish. It's not the most well-known hobby in Maryland, but DNR recently sent out a survey to find out if anglers would try it. Russ Merritt has been participating in the hobby for 9 years now. He says he began by accident and agrees it has not gained a lot of followers.
I don't want to say there's a certain person and it's not for everyone, but I think if anyone tries it, they'll find a special spot in the fishing niche. I got into it almost out of frustration not catching bigger fish.
Now, the last day to complete DNR's survey is going to be May 16th. The information gathered will be used to analyze how many people are interested in the sport and anglers' attitude toward native fishing species in the bay. Well, the inlet lot in Ocean City was packed today. It was day 2 of OC Cruising with hot rods and classic cars taken over. As Coast TV reporter Brandon Ferguson shows us, with the event lasting through Sunday, organizers say over 3,000 hot rods will make their way through the resort town.
Classics, dragsters, and a famous actor from the movie Cars, and one classic dump truck with a story.
You might not be able to tell by the looks of the outside and the looks of the inside, but this truck is a 1966 Mack dump truck with only 6,000 miles on it.
Gil McKee worked repainting the dump truck and helped bring it back to life for more than just looks.
Some of them just say, oh, you shouldn't have wasted all your time and money, but this truck has a story to it. It was the owner's father's truck. He lost it, he got it back. And like I said, we got it back about 10 years ago. And we've been slowly rebuilding the whole interior. It's all been rebuilt.
The inlet lot opened at 9 this morning for classic cars and trucks to come park. Gurry Dove says he woke up at 4:30 this morning to get to the boardwalk for the parade, setting him up for a primetime corner spot on the inlet to bring his 1931 Model A.
I've owned this car for about 5 years. When it comes to the show, I forget, long time. But the last 5 years, we've been bringing the car down.
Whether you brought a car to the event or just looking, Ocean City is definitely a little louder this weekend.
That was Coast TV's Brandon Ferguson reporting. And we are just getting started this evening. Coming up next, student loan confusion. If you don't know what you owe, a student loan expert might be able to help. But first, food, shopping, fast cars, and fancy hats. It's all happening this weekend, so stay with us for your cool things to do.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. We're going to push it up to 87 degrees. That's near 90 for Saturday. Wow. Then we come in with showers and temperatures in the 70s. We'll have this wonkiness of the forecast sifted out for you in a moment.
You can think of this weekend as kind of your soft launch into summer. There's no pressure, it's only just May, but there's a lot happening. And that's including the Rehoboth Dewey Sidewalk Sale. It's back for its 42nd year, all weekend long from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. with deals across downtown Rehoboth, Dewey, and Route 1. In Lewis, classic British cars will be taking over the ferry terminal on Saturday at 11 a.m. for the British Motor Car Show. Coast TV anchor Charlie Sakaitis and I will be judging the event. Over at Shellville in Rehoboth on Saturday, the Southern Delaware Wine, Food, and Music Festival. They're pouring up and serving food for a good cause. It's also Heritage Day at the Nanticoke Indian Center Saturday, a free event with dancing, storytelling, and native food in Millsboro. And if you're feeling festive, head to the riding arena at Southern Delaware Therapeutic Riding for Derby Day, complete with mint juleps, a hat contest, and a watch party for the Kentucky Derby. Ticket sales from this event will directly support the therapeutic riding program. And don't forget, you can watch this year's Kentucky Derby right here on Coast TV. Coverage begins Saturday at 2:30 p.m. For event details, tickets, and more, just head over to coasttv.com and click on Cool Things to Do.
We're expecting increasing cloud cover for tonight, but then it's going to clear out in time for us to have a crazy warm Saturday. Christina was just telling me how much she adores having a 90-degree day for tomorrow. She's laughing right now in the background. All right, it's 68 degrees where we'll end up by 3 o'clock. Listen, it is going to be unusually warm for tomorrow. Actually, we're going to challenge for a record high. That's just how warm it's going to be. Drink plenty of water, folks. We're at that time of the year, okay? 71 right now in Milton as well as Millsboro. We're holding at 71 degrees right now in Redden as well. The winds are continuing to move out of the south. That's going to add another layer to the warmth that we'll be enjoying for tomorrow, but it will be a bit on the breezy side. That's the thing. We're going to get up to near 90, but it won't feel that way because it's going to be just so windy. You'll kind of go through the day and not realize how warm it really is. Now, we have the small craft advisory that's active. That's been reinvigorated and it's just throughout a good portion of Saturday. Same holds true for us over towards Smith Island as well as over towards Cambridge. But the precipitation that we could have possibly received went way to our north, even north of Philadelphia, Allentown, in that area. So we keep a close eye on this area of precipitation that's making its way out of the most eastern portions of the Tennessee Valley region. It will begin to eventually swing in our direction, keeping a close eye on these troughs that will begin to push through and help to weave the tapestry of scattered showers and precipitation in our neck of the woods when it arrives. Partly cloudy for tonight, staying in the upper 60s. Now, remember, it's going to be breezy out of the southwest at about 20 miles per hour, although it will get up to 86 degrees, for example, in Seaford. We'll warm to 85 in Easton, 82 Cambridge, and we'll get up to 82 in Snow Hill, 80 in Berlin, 77 for the high, Ocean City. These winds coming out of the south are going to really pick up momentum. By Saturday night, we're looking at 30 to 32 mile per hour winds for the beaches, Ocean City, Bethany Beach, Rehoboth Beach, at least 26 mile per hour winds, but then they'll back off a bit for us by the time we get to Monday. Now, you'll notice Saturday we're pretty clear, and that's why we're going to get into the 80s nicely and easily. 70s for Sunday. But then as we go into Monday, by Monday mid-morning, that's when we'll start seeing some scattered showers. The backside of a low pressure system is going to swing that rain in our general direction. So our chances of rain elevate on Sunday, Monday, and stay pretty elevated on Tuesday, thanks to a cutoff low that's going to meander throughout portions of the Ohio Valley region. And that counterclockwise rotation is going to swing this moisture right back on top of us, and it's going to dump. It's the dumping effect from that big swirling that's happening, going to right connected to that low pressure system. So we see Monday, 8 o'clock, Tuesday, scattered showers, that dumping occurring, but then by the time we get to, say, Thursday, we clear out. Now, with all that dumping and all that rain we're talking about, we're still looking for less than an inch of rain generally for the entire area. Lewis and Rehoboth might get the most at 0.8 something. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. 87 for Saturday, like we said, so get ready to drink plenty of water. But remember, it's going to be breezy on Saturday as well.
Okay, I'll make note of that. Thank you very much, Paul. Well, Zelle is returning to service after an outage today. The popular payment platform experienced an outage this morning that caused payment problems for customers at some banks. Zelle customers saw their transactions marked as payment pending. The outage affected several different banks. Zelle says it's working to process the backlog caused by this outage. OpenAI has withdrawn an update to ChatGPT. The rollback comes just 4 days after the update was introduced. The decision was made after ChatGPT was criticized on social media. Users said the platform would react with exaggerated praise to their prompts, something experts have long warned of the dangers associated with chatbots using sycophantic behavior. That's the term used in the industry to describe what happens when large language models tailor their responses to the user's perceived beliefs. OpenAI announced it would allow people to use an earlier version that displayed, quote, more balanced behavior. Beginning Monday, May 5th, the Education Department will be restarting involuntary repayment of federal student loans that are in default. The payments were paused during President Donald Trump's first term in 2020 as a response to the COVID pandemic. Reporter Lily O'Shea Becker talked to a professional to answer some questions surrounding the confusion regarding student loan payments.
If you're confused about the current state of federal student loans, just know you are not alone. I mean, take a look at how many notices pop up when I go to my student loan servicer's website. So I spoke with another student loan borrower and a professional so he could answer some of our questions.
Jeremy Clarkson is a local high school math teacher. He's also a student loan borrower.
And right now I'm trying to figure out, do I even owe loans anymore, or is it like, you know, one site isn't reporting something accurately to the other?
There's two websites borrowers should get their information from, studentaid.gov and your loan servicer's website.
But like Jeremy said, there's a lot of different information going around.
Different flexibilities happening, different programs launching, Supreme Court rulings.
Landon Warmond is a certified student loan professional.
Typically, if there's something that's going to impact you directly, they will send you an email or a notice in the mail.
For instance, collections on defaulted student loans will resume on Monday. Either your loan servicer or the federal government should notify you if you've missed a payment for over 270 days. Additionally, court rulings have caused some confusion around income-driven repayment plans. If you're repaying under the SAFE plan, it's likely your payments are paused or in forbearance.
On the safe forbearance, we're kind of at the whim of our federal government right now on when that's going to end.
Since Jeremy is a teacher, he's repaying through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Plan. Conversations to change that plan are happening at the federal level.
I want to know is this program in potential danger of anything?
Borman says for now, it looks like teachers and government employees would not be impacted by any changes to the Public Service Repayment Plan.
Worman advises to be patient. Don't get lost in any of the proposed changes, and wait to be notified if any changes will impact you.
Coming up in sports, Sussex Central honored a number of students signing to play in college, and Delaware's winningest wrestler made a special announcement.
And here's a look at your golf forecast. We are expecting for it to stay very much on the warm side of things. As you're lining your putts up for tomorrow, it's going to be breezy, but still pretty good, with a chance of a little isolated thunderstorm late in the afternoon.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
The rollout of this fall's updated COVID vaccine could be delayed. A new rule put in place by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. requires all new vaccines to go through placebo-controlled clinical trials. And while the original COVID vaccines approved in late 2020 went through placebo-controlled trials, seasonal updates like those made to the flu vaccine, they normally don't. The FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee expected to meet in May or June to recommend which COVID strains should be included in the next round of shots. If they find the updated Pfizer and Moderna vaccines to be new products, experts say it's unlikely the doses would be ready for the fall. Well, every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. has a stroke, according to the American Heart Association, and getting medical care quickly is critical. It could mean the difference between life and death. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has the subtle signs of a stroke that everyone should know in honor of Stroke Awareness Month.
It's a medical emergency when blood flow to the brain is disrupted, causing brain cells to die. It can lead to disability or even death. In the U.S., someone dies of stroke every 3 minutes and 11 seconds.
Our mantra is time is brain, and every minute really counts.
Dr. Jonathan Salamano with Cleveland Clinic says the phrase "be fast" can help you remember the subtle signs of stroke and what to do. B stands for balance if there's a sudden loss of coordination or dizziness. E is for eyes if there's unexpected vision loss or changes. F is for face. Facial drooping is a potential symptom. A, arm numbness or weakness on one side of the body. S is for speech. Slurred speaking or difficulty communicating or understanding could be a sign. Finally, T is time to call 911.
If those are all signs and symptoms that should be concerning.
Salamano says stroke risk rises with age, but it can happen to anyone. In fact, a CDC report found the number of young people having strokes is increasing. That's why knowing risk factors is key. Your chances for stroke increase if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, if you smoke or abuse substances.
Oftentimes, young adults don't get their annual physical exams or might have undiagnosed conditions like blood pressure or high cholesterol that places them at increased risk.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Yes, a couple schools held signing ceremonies today on Delmarva. Here's how it looked in Georgetown. The Golden Knights honored about a dozen seniors who recently decided where they will be playing next year. The bulk of the group consisted of players from this past year's football team, but the big commitment today came from wrestling phenom Malachi Stratton. Delaware's all-time wins leader announced he'll be heading to George Mason in the fall. The four-time state champion said being able to compete at the Division I level is a dream come true.
It's real cool, man. Finally say like I'm a D1, commit. I'm not fully, officially, there, but I can finally say that I'm a step closer than I was yesterday. So just to finally do that means a lot. But to finally say that I started wrestling when I was 4 years old, and the goal has always been, D1, become a D1 athlete. And a couple times I would say that I kind of, didn't really think that may happen, but finally say that I can, finally believe that is, a dream fulfilled. That means a lot to me.
And it's under 24 hours away. The 151st Kentucky Derby airs tomorrow right on Coast TV News. Coverage begins at noon on CBS News before transitioning over to NBC at 2:30. By the way, the favorite horse in tomorrow's Derby right now, named Journalism. Keep in mind, though, the morning line favorite has not won since 2018. That over sports tonight. Have a good one, everybody.
Well, listen to this. A new study finds most people believe in karma, particularly good karma for themselves and bad karma for others. The study researchers asked more than 2,000 people from the U.S., Singapore, and India to write about their experiences with karma. In the stories about others, 92% told about how misfortune befell cheating partners, bad friends, bullies, and lousy coworkers. But when the participants wrote about themselves, 59% told tales of being rewarded for their good deeds.
Karma goes under many names, you know, yin yang, reaping and sowing, get back, got back. That's from Mississippi. You probably don't know that one. Anyway, 72 degrees for us, actually, Milford. 67 by the time we get to the 3 o'clock hour. Our winner of our umbrella is John Freeman of Frankfort. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. Now, if you want to keep up with your forecast, you can call our weather line. The number is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Now, let's take a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We're looking for a chance of rain Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Whew, it's going to be a hot one tomorrow, that's for sure. Well, thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. For some more local news and weather, you can always find that on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show is up next, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 11 p.m. Have a great night.